All right, welcome back, guys, to Boots Come in Pairs. If you didn't check out last week's episode, we had John Shenning on again. A lot of fun. This week we have Joe Aul. He makes bats. So Ryan's gonna kick us off with where we're gonna go with Joe.
Yeah, for sure, guys. And again, I just introducing Joe. Joe's a friend who I discovered on social media. We've kind of been chatting back and forth over the years. Maker, craftsman, Pittsburgh born and bred, baseball purist more than anything. So just want to thank you so much for coming on and talking with us. You're our first person in the industry on the show, and we're excited to talk to you and excited for you to talk about your company and what you do, and most of all, just talk about baseball more than anything. So yeah, just thanks so much for coming on with us.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Thank you. I mean, I think this form of media is sort of the new wave of media, and I love doing this. I mean, because we get to talk about things we love, and people get to really know who you are instead of just kind of the quick scheme marketing, that's out there now. So I appreciate it too. It's fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I want to jump right into this because, again, I'm familiar with your company, but a lot of people out there might not be. So you and I got connected a few years ago on Instagram and on LinkedIn. I am familiar with your products because I have one of your products, and I actually have it right here with me. I got the Pro Maple.
Look at that.
We got the maple bat. We got all the laser engraving on there. If I can focus out.
Looks like he's been doing a lot of tea work there, Joe.
Oh yeah, we got the J,
Yeah, you get
J
the
on the
rubber marks
bottom.
on it. Nice.
Got the cup. So this is one of the best wood bats that I've ever swung. Got so much pop. Obviously, being maple, like you get more pop, but well made, craftsman. Very very impressed with this thing, and I kind of want Joe to go in before we dive into processes and stuff. I want him to talk about his experience and getting into the game. So Joe, I guess leading things off, like, what's your experience with this game and what's your history? How did you fall in love with baseball?
Yeah, and we kind of touched on it at the beginning before we went live there, but it's sort of the all-American, dream. I fell in love with baseball with my dad. He was my coach for a number of years. I was playing Little League, and really, it was watching the Yankees. I know I'm from Pittsburgh, and I'm very proud of the Pirates. Even though we haven't had the success we wanted, but I still root for the Pirates. My dream World Series would be a Yankees Pirates World Series. I think that would just be, going back to 1960. I think that would that would make my day or year.
Oh, absolutely.
But I mean, I fell in love probably about 8, 9 years old, like a lot of guys, and kept playing, ended up playing in college, local community college where we were nationally ranked and had a lot of success there. Had a couple options to go to some bigger places, but ended up settling somewhere closer to home at St. Vincent College in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. So not about an hour and a half outside of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And I don't know. Baseball and building things have been my two passions my whole life. And again, it's that father figure. My dad has been very influential in my life. So, it was something that we both shared. So when I graduated, it was kind of an easy transition to, I was already working for him doing some contracting stuff. So it was a pretty easy transition into making the bats themselves. That's kind of how it started.
Yeah, I think I mean, again, you grew up playing baseball. You'd love to get into the industry in some way, so it's cool you can connect. Your dad made the bats for you growing up? Is that how
He
that happened?
did? Yeah. He would make them. I'd say probably when I was about 10 years old is when he started making them. It took him like 8 hours to make the first bat by hand, So ironically, even though he understands entirely how the process works, he has never actually made it, turned a bat at least the way we do it now. So it's been quite a transition going from 8 hours by hand to roughly 4.5 minutes.
I was gonna say you got it down to like 4 hours now per bat.
Right.
That's a
Yeah,
good business
exactly.
model.
Oh yeah. For marketing purposes, it still takes us 5 hours.
Yeah. That's well. The thing is, like, how How is that something? I mean, I know both of you and your dad are both baseball guys. It's like, how is that something that like gets into your mind? Like, I'm going to make my kid a bat. Like, how does that even come into the equation?
Well, he watches The Natural and he sees him make it out of the tree. That's pretty much how it works, right? And then you hit home runs with it, right? Hitting nukes, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, well, you got to know our family too. My uncles are all engineers on my dad's side, and on my mom's side, he's a biologist and chemist. So we have a lot of guys that are kind of smart. We'll say that, and especially my dad. So all the engineers, they go to my dad to figure out how to build things because he's the carpenter. So he's the one that actually can take some of those abstract ideas and turn them into reality. And so he kind of prided himself on being able to basically do anything. If you asked him to build something, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I could do that." But he wasn't, it wasn't a bunch of BS. Like he actually could. So, it was actually me that was like, "Man, Dad, can you make me a bat? Like, how cool would it be?" My dad, who I, think the world of, and I love playing this game. How cool would it be if like you actually made me something? So, I think, like I said, I think I was about 10 years old when he made me my first bat. And, he would make them all. And then he found out, oh, this is the other thing, he was always doing research. He always was thinking, like, how can we, get better at what we're building, but also how can I help my son get better at baseball? And he found out, that wood bats actually make you a better hitter because there's a smaller sweet spot. You have the weight towards the end. Like he literally broke it down. Like he read Ted Williams, Science of Hitting, and then he took it even further and was like reading scholarly, articles on physics, like literally on physics. Like my dad's like, "Oh yeah, this is how this works. This is how your swing should be." Before all the analytics and all the, the computer stuff was aided, he was reading stuff on how to, do it. And he realized that, a wood bat is actually probably going to help you become a better hitter, even if you just swung it in practice. So it was from an early age I was swinging wood bats.
I was going to say, yeah, that'd be an interesting point because obviously the reason why I use aluminum is because they're more durable, they're not going to break, and yeah, wood bats just get really expensive. But yeah, that's probably my only real exposure to wood bats is using in practice because, high school, college level. Well, we used BB core, which basically is a wood bat. Those things are horrible.
And I would, I guess we're the same age. It was like my senior year of college is when they first came out, and it's like, guys, just let me use a wood bat. This thing is terrible. I hated them.
Yeah, we hit one home run as a team. I did 1 year of junior college, and I'm like, this is a lot of time commitment. You have to make a choice at some point of like, this is no longer worth pursuing. I still play slow pitch softball, so I get to put the spikes on once a week. But like at that point, it was just like it takes so much time to play at the collegiate level, and I was just like, not enough. But that 1 year of BB Corp, yeah, you're right. Just use wood bats at that point. They're brutal. But
yeah. I think they've come a long way with them. I haven't really used them that much. I coached a high school program for a number of years, so I saw what they were doing. But yeah, that first year was brutal.
Do you remember what that first species was of the bat that your dad made you, like that very first bat?
Oh man, I'm picturing it. I believe it was ash. It might have actually been truly hickory. I'm sure he knows. I guarantee if I asked him, he would know. But it was like he made it longer, and we flame tempered it. Yeah, I would say it was ash. That was back when ash was still, decent.
Yeah, and what's funny is that I'm also in an industry where we do a lot of like wood desktops. So we do a lot of ash like butcher block and ash plank tops. The character is great, and I find that it's so stable. Like it's very stable. There's not a lot of warpage. There's not a lot of splitting that happens. So I've actually heard that ash is probably one of the, if not the best, one of the better woods to use for bats because maple can be prone to like just blowing up because of.
Sounds so good.
Yeah, it sounds great. It sounds great.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, ash is extremely consistent. The problem we have right now is a supply issue because there's an emerald borer. Yeah, the emerald ash borer is killing the trees. And And ever since Barry Bonds broke the home run record, everybody's been switching to maple anyhow. And to be honest with you, the weights and the strength of maple is consistently, scientifically, it's consistently higher than ash. But what you're talking about as far as like warpage or defects in the species itself, you're right. I mean, it's hard to beat ash. That's why it does make such a good furniture wood. And it's easier on your tools because it's actually not quite as hard as maple, which people that don't know, like, it's amazing how like that little jump on the Rockwell scale, which measures hardness of well, anything material, but especially woods. You start getting harder wood, you eat up your tools. Like your steel starts wearing down and getting dull pretty quick. So ash was like a perfect medium between, hey, it's not going to break, it's got this flexibility that allows it to be durable. It's going to look great. You're getting a lot of consistency, and it's not going to destroy your tools or be really hard, especially when they first started making it by hand. Like, it's a hard thing to do to make it, by hand. So a little bit softer was actually a benefit then.
That's awesome. It's good to hear, because again, like, being in the same industry, I'm not really on the maker side. I'm more on like the project management side. But yeah, you just go through sanding belts quicker. You go through all the stuff quicker. You might have to use more epoxy on certain tables if they have more defects in them or stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely know, because I order a lot of the stuff that the guys use. So yeah, it's just cool to hear from the baseball side of things that it's pretty similar to the furniture side of things. But getting into this a little bit more, so you can talk about as much or as little as you want, but kind of explain to everyone like how your process goes. Like, you're in hardwood haven in Pennsylvania, like lots of great lumber down there. I mean, you can talk about from tree to end product if you want, or go into it deep as you want.
Yeah, I mean, I could take up all your time if you wanted me to.
There's no time limit.
No, it's actually one of the things I love the most about this business is giving tours. I have homeschool groups, I have classes. In fact, this week, someone from the public schools, like, they called me and they're like, "Hey, we want to, can you teach this kid how to make a bat?" So I'm always teaching. I always love sharing that passion. I think, well, it's good for business, but I mean, I just think that that's the way it should be. We should be doing stuff that we enjoy, and it gives joy to other people. So that's really my goal, even as a company, is to really, it's deeper than just making money. It's about the process. It's about why are you swinging a wood bat? Like, swing all or nothing is more than a cheesy motto, like I think that everybody should be swinging a wood bat at all levels. So, and I could go into that more, but I think, yeah, just to your point, we are in the hardwood capital of the world, literally. Like, more hardwoods that are usable come from this part of the world than anywhere else. And for baseball bats specifically, it goes from about north central Pennsylvania up to Maine, but it can go down to as far south as West Virginia. And the main reason is, it's actually, you think of it like working out. So, you lift weights, you do things that are difficult, and then your body needs a recovery period. You need to, rest for a day or whatever, let it recover, and then go back at it. And for whatever reason, this part of the world has these really intense winters, followed by a really humid, which is important, the moisture, summers. And so there's a fast growing cycle that happens in the summertime, and then the trees shut down, and they literally, because it's a living organism, it's like lifting weights. So the trees get stronger. Out west, it's kind of too temperate and it rains too much. So they get too heavy and dense. In the south, it's too dry. So they dry out. And for whatever reason, they haven't figured out, like in northern parts of Germany or other parts of Europe, that also have hardwood, they haven't figured out the right consistency for baseball bats. And part of that could be because there's a lot of oak over there, where we have a ton of maple, which obviously, as we kind of mentioned, is the number one wood right now. So it's still an American product, because most of the wood actually comes from this part of the world, which I think I think it just adds to, this is America's game, not that we're prideful or anything, but there's a reason for that. Like all the stuff is here. We invented the game. We love the game. So it's cool that this is at least one piece of equipment that still is actually made here.
We're like the only ones that actually like understand the game too. Because
right.
everyone else is
exactly.
like, we don't know what's going on. You're just running around a bunch of pillows and whatever.
right. It can be confusing for someone that's never seen it.
Absolutely. So getting into the wood and stuff, I guess, like what is your process from there? So it starts with this wood that is very much unique to our part of the world and your part of the country that you happen to live in and grew up in. So I guess from there, what goes into making a bat for those who don't know? I mean, a lot of us have been on tours, I actually visited the Louisville Slugger Museum over the summer, which was so cool. I was a little bit surprised that there was not really a ton of people working there just because of a lot of it's automated now, but very cool to see the processes and all the billets and all that stuff. So yeah, kind of go into that a little bit and let these people know.
Yeah, we literally do exactly what Louisville does. I mean, you really can't reinvent the wheel. A baseball bat is made like a baseball bat. So when you're buying a wood bat, the reality is most of that wood is coming from a few different places in this part of the world. So to say that like, oh, this company has better wood is probably actually inaccurate. And I know that like a lot of guys in the industry don't like saying that, but that's the truth. When you buy a wood baseball bat, you're buying the people, you're buying a model that feels good in your hands, and you're buying the customization. That's about it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think Ryan's going to get into it here in a minute, but like, players got to trust you too, because like they got to perform with your bat. And I think that sometimes it's like, I went 3 for 4 with that bat in that game. I had a bad week, I'm going to switch bat company, whatever it is. But like, you got to earn the trust of these guys as well and make sure it's a product they want to use.
Absolutely. And being consistent is the most important part of that, at least for our pro guys. We really pride ourselves on being able to give them a consistent product, which for a small company can be harder. But our advantage is that we're not technically currently right now Major League certified, and that's actually by intention, because since we don't have to meeting the Major League standard is easy. Like we meet it already. Like we actually surpass it, like a lot of companies do. But when you pay them a lot of money and you sign all the contracts, basically your best wood by law has to go to the major league guy. So our advantage is like, we're like, hey, minor league guys, we produce actually a little bit better bat than these bigger box companies because we don't have to sell to the major leagues. So that right there is a good reason to use us. And then on top of that, we do have a CNC capability. A lot of smaller companies, they have either copy lathes or hand lathes, which we can get into that a little bit more. But basically, for those that don't know, a lathe is the machine that spins the billet that you actually carve the bat out of. And we have the ability through CNC technology, so computer technology, just like Louisville, except on, like I said, on a smaller scale, to produce the exact same bat every single time. So if you have a model you like, you're going to get the model you like.
Yeah, to the exact specifications too, because that's a big thing too. Like down to the ounce, down to the inch. Like you got to be dead on, and like you said, like it has to feel comfortable in the player's hands, and being down to the thousandth of an inch makes the difference.
Yep. Yeah. In baseball, it does. It's not just a game of inches. It's really a game of, hundredths of an inch. Just that little bit could be a difference between a home run and, a fly out.
Yeah. That's awesome. Because I asked Ryan if you made any like bats for major league players, and he said no, not yet. But like that's great insight because I mean, why shouldn't everyone have the opportunity to buy that lumber? And that's where, I don't know, do you have an interest ever in signing that contract, or you want to be this niche where it's like, hey, we can get that high schooler that bat too?
When we started the company, I definitely, it's like any boy's dream. You want to see your bat used in the major leagues. But I think as I maybe matured as a person and as a businessman, I realized that was not necessarily necessary. But we do. So one of the cool things about what I get to do is I actually make bats for other companies too. Which is also what makes us unique as a small business, that we're actually able to control the process all the way through. But the reality is that most companies are just putting a label on the bat that's already been made, so they're just a marketing company. And we have some of those companies that we produce for, that we might end up going to the major leagues. So, yeah, I would never say no to it. If the right opportunity comes along, I've often said, if one of our guys that's in the minor leagues wants to foot that bill, we would do it. But yeah, because I don't think it's a bad thing to strive for that. It is the elite of the elite for a reason. There's no plans currently to take the All Bat company there. But again, I'll never say no. And more or less, there could be one of our brands in the major leagues in the next few years. So I'll keep that under the rug for now.
For sure. That's awesome. So, I mean, are these you don't have to go into it further, but are these companies that are native to Pennsylvania, or are these companies that are outside of Pennsylvania?
Yeah, our one primary company that we work with is not it's not a Pennsylvania company. So then, which also kind of helps, because there's no crossover in hey, you're selling bats here, we're selling, because he's another small company, and they make great bats. I think he does a good job with how he handles his customers, and we have a good relationship. So it's just two small companies putting their heads together and making a dream become a reality, really.
And honestly, that's the best way to do it. I mean, I'm someone I went to school for my bachelor's is in business administration, but my major was entrepreneurship and small business management. I've worked for small businesses my entire time since I left college. I'm a huge small business guy, and when you can get a couple small businesses linked up and you can attack the world together, and you could do the things that you love to do, that is just that much more rewarding than jumping into bed with one of the bigger guys and kind of, and in a way, they can take advantage of you. And small businesses tend to look out for other small businesses. So that's really cool that you guys do that, and you're able to explore these other partnerships too. It's so cool to be able to hear that from you on this level in an industry that Brandon and I both are passionate about.
Yeah, you can do a lot of things as a small business that you could never do as a big business. I mean, there's benefits to being a big business, and to be honest with you, we've had some big businesses approach us to try buying us out, and for a number of reasons, I just said no, because the timing wasn't right, or something wasn't right. But I also just love what I do, and I love the flexibility that we have, that we can form these other partnerships with other small businesses, and literally we're hey, we want to do this thing, we can do it. We don't have to check with shareholders, or how is this going to be marketed, or are people going to receive this? We can just be what, I think this is going to work, let's try it. And it cuts out a lot of the bureaucratic stuff that I think slows progress down in a lot of ways.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
That's really cool. I say you're kind of looking beyond, even the financial aspect, because if you could sell, why not? You're not just in it for that, though. It sounds like you're looking to a little more. So that's really cool.
Yeah, no, we truly love what we do here. So
awesome. It's so cool. So cool. Before we leave the process part, what is your favorite part of the process? I mean, it's probably really, it's like picking your favorite kid. It's tough to do, but
but you have one. Everyone has one. So
yeah,
it's amazing. I've been doing this for about 12 years now, officially, and I get asked that question all the time, and I still don't have a good answer for it. Different days I like different parts of the process. I'll tell you, walking into the shop and smelling wood and lacquer, it hasn't gotten old. So, and I'm out there most days. So there's not too many days that I don't at least pop my head in the shop. I'm still making bats at least 3 days a week. So,
oh wow,
personally, so it's it hasn't really gotten old, and I don't know. I mean, this may not be as satisfying, but really doing stuff like this and talking to other people, I think that's probably my favorite part. Just sharing the passion and explaining how it works, and living the American dream through other people and seeing how much. I mean, because that's the other thing, people come and they think it's the coolest thing too. So I'm like, I feed off of that. So I'm just like, I get pumped up when people, when little kids come in the shop and they're like, wow, Dad, look at that. Like it's cool. I love it.
I would say a second one's probably got to be like watching someone perform with your bat would probably be up there too. Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah, no, so we were one of the official bats of the Washington Wild Things, which is a local team. I didn't get to too many Pirate games this year, but I made a few more of the Wild Things games down there,
they didn't make it either, so that's fine.
You're right. That's fair. But it was, in at the Wild Thing, like those little minor league stadiums, you can get right up on, even though like I could probably get in for free at some of the other places too, but like, I try to pay, I try to patronize, and I get down there right on field level, and it's pretty cool seeing your bat, hit home runs in the hands of guys that you like now know. People see him on the Jumbotron or they might follow them, but I was like, yeah, I was down on the field with him yesterday, while he's taking BP. So it's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, we have a special place kind of for those minor league systems. Like we grew up with the Midwest League, which is where a lot of draft picks go for their first stop. We had a friend go through, he's in the majors now. And it's just that kind of baseball. There's a different level for it, and there's so much of a grind when you're at those levels. They just started a new league in the Wisconsin, Illinois area. So we have a team that's an unaffiliated team. So they don't have an upline or anything, but they're just guys that want to keep playing the game and potentially get picked up. So everyone's working on something, and it's a fun level to be at. So that's cool that that's the kind of level you're in and kind of fostering that.
I think it kind of matches where we are as a company, because it's like, we're making it, we're probably actually in some ways making it better than they are, because it is my full-time job, but, some of them, they can't even afford that. But, it's sort of on that same level. We don't have an overwhelming cash flow pipeline like some of these major league guys have. So we have to grind a lot, we have to put in the long hours, work 12 hours. So it's, it's all part of the process, and it's cool seeing other guys kind of go through it with you, even though they're still on the field. So you stay young that way too.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, so you have some minor league players. I mean, obviously you have people in high school and college and little league using your bats. You have some guys in MILB. I have actually seen one of your guys play in person, JJ Metachevic. Yeah. So I know he's a local Pennsylvania guy. Obviously he was using your bats for a while, or maybe I know he's a free agent now. But I got to see him in single A when he was actually playing against our buddy who's now in the pros. But what a great player he is. And how time it was back in 2017 now, I believe, but great player. But are there any other guys who you kind of have your eye on and who are swinging your bats?
Yeah, well, I guess in about 11 years or that we've been in business officially, we have probably supplied anywhere between 40 and 60 minor league guys. So
that's awesome.
There is a lot of them. JJ might be one of the highest profile ones that we know, just because he was a high draft pick and obviously, made it to the major leagues. He hasn't bought our bats in a couple years, to be honest, but, we still know him. We still root for him. Every once in a while, hopefully we'll reconnect, and it'd be nice to get him back in his hands. But he got some pretty good deals. I know, when I reached out to him to see what was going on, and asked him how his bats are doing, he got a pretty good deal with the guy that he's using now. So, I don't fault them for that. It's all part of the process, and there's no hard feelings. It's just part of business, and we still root for guys. So, but it was cool to know that he had them at least when he was in Double A at Corpus Christi.
Yeah. So how did he? I know, again, him being from the same state as you. Like, how did he end up getting your bats? Like, how did that end up happening?
That's a good question. I think you just make so many connections, playing. I played at a pretty high level after college too, on a local Well, it was an amateur team, but it was basically made up of all pros and then me and this other guy. So they were like all ex-pros. So they knew everybody. I mean, it was like we would get guys released from like AAA and they would like come play for us. So
Oh wow! Oh my gosh!
it was pretty cool. And like I started playing for that team when I was right out of college. Division III college, and I'm going in and I'm 5'8", and I had a decent Division III career, but I'm going in. I'm like, oh, this guy played with like Michael Kadire and Justin.
Oh my god!
And like they know them personally. And somehow I found my way into starting on that team, but like those guys loved me, so I was like, all right, well, this is cool, And then they're like, yeah, I got this guy, who's he's out of Norwin. You might have heard of him, JJ Medijevic. So like it was somebody on that team that actually put us in touch, and yeah, I got a lot of contacts out of playing for that team. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's
like that must be wild. Like playing with all those guys, like that's crazy.
It was a lot of fun. It taught me more about baseball than at any other level. Like I wish I could have played for them before I had my college career, because it's just, and the crazy thing about those guys, like I love them all as brothers. Like we still to this day, talk, and they really take you under your wing. And the thing that really surprised me the most about them is they're all extremely humble. Like they wanted you to succeed more than they even cared to succeed, because they've already done it. Like at this point, they're just like, hey, we're here for the love of the game, and we want to see you succeed. So I think they kind of took that approach with my company too. They're like, all right, oh yeah, we want your bats to be used, and then they all used them, and they're like, yeah, these are as good as anything we've used. So it was like a tester program, a connector program, a mentor program. So it was great.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah. So obviously, like whoever those players were played for the Twins, because that's a bunch of lifelong Twins there.
Yeah. Two of them played in the Twins organization. Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah.
They didn't make it to the bigs, but I think the one made it to AAA, and the other one was AA. So.
Oh man.
But
still,
you go through spring training with the guys. You go through that whole system. If they have to rehab, they're getting sent down there. So like, it's all such a process, and that's why like we were saying like on a couple episodes ago, like every one of these games matters. Even a pitcher that you've never heard of that's making his debut, after the season's already over for Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
but for real, like it's just
No,
like
true.
every single scenario has a family, a bunch of people behind it who are rooting for them, and that's a cool aspect of it that not a lot of people see.
No, it's true. Yeah, I mean it's not cliche to say that everybody actually matters, because they do. They fit some piece at some point in time that helps a program or an organization thrive. So it couldn't happen without the guys putting in that time and being willing to do that.
And it's such a grind too. Like I said, you go through each stop, and like you might make it, but then the next day they draft someone else in your same position, and they want to propel him to the next level. So yeah, it's not a surprise when you see some guys get Rule of 5 picked and then swapped over at age 27. So
yep, and then maybe have success.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's honestly like, so our buddy, he plays for the Athletics, and he went to Cincinnati for 3 years. Did really well there. He gets drafted by the Blue Jays. Like he's the same age as Vladdy, Bo Bichette, Kevon Biggio, Griffin Conine was in the system. He was blocked by people, and then he gets traded to Los Angeles, and the Dodgers trade for Freddie Freeman. He's a first baseman, so it's like, what are you supposed to do? And then he goes to Oakland. He gets Rule 5, gets picked up by Oakland, has a really nice season. It's just about having the right opportunity at the right time, just like with anything. Like being in the right place at the right time is so important. It can't be overstated.
Yeah, that's why you have to have a good mindset, because, like you said, I mean, what do you get? You might be a really, really good first baseman, but like Freddie Freeman might be the best first baseman right now in the game, So,
yes.
what are you going to do? Like you have to have this mindset that it doesn't mean that you're bad or that you're not good. It just means that it's not your time, or, somebody else just happened to be in that spot. So to keep going.
I think sometimes too, especially like, because we're talking about, kids using wood bats too and like learning how to hit. But I think some people get so discouraged when they're not, hitting 400 in high school. They're not hitting 400 in college. And that's not always the case. You're not always going to excel until maybe a later date. So as long as you keep grinding and keep going for it, eventually someone's going to tell you, hey, stop swinging. You're done. We don't need your bat anymore. But if you tell yourself that, that's even worse, because then you're just robbing yourself of the opportunity to do that. And just because it doesn't happen right away doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
No, absolutely. I mean, I actually didn't play that much in high school. I was homeschooled. There are some issues behind the scene politically, I think, but the reality was I just wasn't flat out good enough. I was on a really good high school team, and there were some guys that were better than me. At the time I wouldn't say that, but it taught me a lot, and I am grateful for that opportunity because I was an All-American in college, and I don't think any of the guys on that team were. So if you just stick with it, anything can happen.
Yeah. Well, if you don't play in high school, you can't peak in high school. So
that's right. That's right.
True.
I'd rather peak I'd rather peak later.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. One more thing before we get into some more fun and personal questions. Are there any nuances, any things that you're working on that you'd like to share? Any cool projects? If you want to keep it under the rug, you can. But if there's anything ways to improve the craft, things you're experimenting with, again, feel free to share. If you don't want to, that's fine. Just thought I'd ask.
No, I mean, especially like I said, when it's really hard to reinvent the wheel in the wood bat world. You really can't do it, at least with the material limitation that we have. So I'm always trying to find something, the next handle, like the axe handle sort of took off. And then guys, that didn't get the rights to be able to call it an axe handle, they sort of just did the tapered handle at the end, which we sell as well. So there's always little things you're tweaking with models, with finishes, your process. You're always trying to make it faster, but also better at the same time, because sometimes it's related, but sometimes when you make it too fast, then it reduces the quality of the product. So you have to sort of start over and find a new way of doing it. And I know I'm speaking in very generalistic terms, but the reality is every day I'm always trying something. I'm always, it's just the way my mind works, is that I'm always trying to make something better and more efficient. But there is a certain project. Again, I can't really reveal too much because I have a non-disclosure on this, but we're developing a bat that doesn't break as frequently. We'll call it that. Okay. And theoretically, it could get BB Corps certified and be used in high schools. So that would open up that market, and it would allow kids to sort of build this transition where guys can actually swing a wood bat. But they wouldn't hopefully have the downside of it breaking. So it's a pretty cool project. I'm excited about it. I don't know when I'm going to be able to announce that, but there is something in the works. So we'd love to have you on if you'd want to talk about it when things get cleared up and things get more squared away. Anytime, man.
You didn't tell me he had NDAs. What are we doing here? I was good. That's interesting you say it, because one of the wood bats I had in high school was a bamboo bat, which was BESR certified at the time. Yeah. So I could use it. I wasn't going to, because man, did that thing shock your hands when you hit it. But
it did. I remember using them. Yeah.
Just brutal. But it taught me not to hit it off the end. That's for sure. Yeah, right. But yeah,
didn't DeMarini have one too? DeMarini had a model that was, I don't really know what kind of wood it was, but it was more of I had one as well. I don't remember what it was.
Yours was horrible because it was a composite wood bat for you, and it was it doesn't break. But that thing broke 4 times, and it was like a wet newspaper. So I'm I'd rather throw that away. You'd rather know that it broke instead of the other. So well, when his NDA clears up and he can. Probably when it hits his website.
Yeah. Well, the problem with the bamboo, first of all, it's a grass.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, it literally is a grass. So the only way you can turn it into a bat is you have to cut it you have to cut it down into strips and then glue it together in what they call a laminate.
Yeah.
And
like a beam.
Yeah, what they actually found out is they don't perform as well as a solid piece of wood bat.
No.
And they still break and they hurt your hands. So like that's why you saw bamboo bats kind of disappear. Like they just weren't very good. And then the one that Ryan probably had was that D Marini that was it actually had a fiberglass core and then they wrapped the barrel in maple. But you're right,
man.
Brandon. It flexed like, I mean, you step on that thing and it literally would bend in half. It was like that, which is scientifically speaking, this is a nice little tidbit. The last thing you ever want a bat to do is flex at contact. So the whole concept of the connection bat that came out with like the Easton Stealth that like would create a whip effect. I actually did my senior thesis on the bat ball collision. So from the physics perspective, so the last thing you ever want that to do is actually flex. That was pure marketing. If you noticed, they had a bat that they called the stiff flex for their power hitter.
Yep.
It didn't flex. So
Brandon, do you have something? You
mentioned the connection. Hold on here.
We're really dating ourselves on this show.
We are, dude. The Stealth, the Omahas, all of them, man.
I played in the softball league this summer, and it was like aluminum bat only, and you could either go vintage or get one of the new crappy aluminum bats. So I got the old school.
Oh, let's go. That was like my first bat.
Yeah,
actually.
The Scandium 500 alloy. Yeah, this is probably the one that flexes.
Yep.
The SC 777 too, the orange and green one.
So
that SC stands for scandium. They alloyed scandium with the aluminum. That's
it's
oh my god.
But these same thing is like if I don't hit that thing in the sweet spot, which is this big, it goes nowhere.
Yep. Yep. That makes sense.
But what was that other one? The EXO, the white one with the red, white, and blue, and the black diamond on the handle.
Yeah. Well, because that was a Louisville, and Louisville went the opposite direction of Easton, because Louisville's like, wait a minute, this is bad science. What you really need is the handle stiffer. So they're like, let's put carbon fiber in the handle so that it doesn't flex at all. So that actually was scientifically a better approach, but yeah.
I will say though, when they do the slow-mo bat connection, the bat shakes a little bit, but you're right, it's not flexing. It's not like a golf club where it's got the whip, because you're right, you don't want that. So that's a good point.
Well, the reason a golf club works is because when that shaft flexes, the head of the golf club actually flexes just as much. All right, there's that trampoline effect that happens right as the ball is actually colliding with the head of the club, and on a golf club, it actually collapses enough to allow time for the flex of the shaft to actually impart energy to the ball. With a baseball bat ball collision, the collision happens so quickly that the ball is actually gone before that whip can actually add any energy into the collision. So. Yeah, you don't want it to do that, because when it does hit it, that's when it goes backwards and you have deflection. It's like walking in an old house that has a lot of flex in the floor. That's not what you want if you want it to go far.
No.
That's awesome.
This is great, Joe. We're getting a science lesson. We're getting fit. Yeah, we're getting
we're understanding why we were misled for all of our childhood, and
yes.
I told you this is what my dad loved, and I was also homeschooled, so he would just this was part of my homework. He would hand me articles on physics and hey, learn that. It's about baseball and it's physics, so it's your homework for the day.
So Ryan, we didn't suck. We just had the wrong equipment. Apparently,
we just had the wrong
equipment. You're swinging the wrong bats, but no, I mean that's good to know. Again, when you're looking at doing your kids and getting them involved, it's you want them to have the right things and not be late because they're swinging the wrong bat.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
So cool. Well, we're getting into more baseball stuff, maybe more personal stuff. So I guess a question, Brandon might have a couple questions as well, but my main question is obviously we were talking before we started recording, you like the Yankees growing up and you're a Pirates fan. Do you have a favorite player, or did you have a favorite player then, and do you have a favorite player or group of players now?
Ooh, now it's harder. I do have a lot of guys that I kind of look to, but it's not the same sort of, hero mindset that you sort of have when you're a kid. And definitely it was Jack Wilson on the Pirates.
Oh,
And I love, because I was, especially younger, I was defense first, hitting second,
was, yeah. Did he?
the
So,
Wilson Castillo combo, the double
Oh.
play combo, was on Baseball Tonight, Web Gems every single night.
And then it was Jack Wilson, Freddie Sanchez.
Freddie
So,
Sanchez, yep. Yeah, they actually broke the record. They broke the record held by Gene Alley and Bill Mazeroski. So,
oh wow,
I mean, and I think they still have it, the double play record for double plays turned by a middle infield combo. So, yeah, but no, yeah. So it was Jack Wilson for the Pirates, and again, like Yankees Pirates, like thing. Derek Jeter was my favorite player.
Yep, the captain.
No
captain.
question. Yeah.
Oh yeah, mine was definitely growing up. Ryan already knows it was Eric Burns, Human Crash Test Dummy. And it's funny because actually now he's probably more popular than when he was a player. Because he's
right. Well, he's with the Bananas now, right?
Yeah, he did the Bananas thing, but like I kind of liked when like no one knew who he was, because then he was just like my little secret, Like I had this guy that I would always pick in video games that no one would like, and then like I just liked following him. I met him one time in a Brewer game when we were up in Milwaukee, which was cool. But yeah, that was I just liked the way he played. I liked that he slid all the time. I was always, if I didn't get dirt on my pants, I didn't really feel like I played that game. So I definitely was in that mindset of sliding and diving, stuff like that.
Yeah.
If your uniform's not dirty, did you play?
Absolutely, yeah. Mine, I kind of had three guys, and it really depended on just the stage of life I was at. When I was a kid, like I was a Yankee fan, and I loved Bernie Williams because I loved center field.
Yeah,
just a quiet leader, consistent hitter, lefty. Like loved him. Kind of transitioned. Michael Young was a really loved him. Just quiet leader. Played multiple positions. Like this guy, like he starts at second base, and then Ian Kinsler comes up, so they move him to short. Then they trade. They trade for Elvis Andrews I think it was in the Teixeira trade. They get Elvis Andrews. Michael Young moves to third, and then he's moving to first base because they had Hank Blaylock, or they might have had someone else. But like he always was doing the things that the organization needed him to do, and he never fussed. You never heard anything from him. Just consistent, year after year, 200 hits, solid defense, like great guy. And then like. Later in my teen years was Dustin Pedroia. I mean, gritty. That's the kind of player I was. Didn't take any crap from anyone. Gave everything that he had. What's funny, we were on our way to Arizona, and I actually saw him in the Denver airport, and I got my picture with him on the plane. I was so nervous, but it was crazy. I'm like, you're like my hero. And he's like sitting in the front row. Like I didn't say anything to him when we were like in the actual terminal, but we get on the plane. I'm like, hey, Petey, can I get a picture? He's like, sure, hurry up. And then I just squatted down. I had this awkward smile on my face, but it was so cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll be honest. I loved Dustin Pedroia too. Even as a Yankee fan, and he played for the Red Sox. Like I said, I was 5'8", so I'd probably actually be taller than him. But
yeah.
And I actually met Jose Altuve in person as well, and I dwarf him. So yeah, there's no way he's 5'6". He's like 5'4".
Yeah.
But man, can he crush the ball? So
yeah.
What about today? Like obviously, like we're older now. A lot of these guys are younger than us. Is there a guy that you admire? Like who do you like to watch play, or a couple guys that you like to watch play now, and why?
Yeah, that is a tough question, because I'll be honest, I don't get a chance to watch as many games as I used to. But just what's fresh in my mind is the World Series, and I loved watching Marcus Seaman and Corey Seager. And just hearing their stories, and just like you said, Ryan, I think we have a lot of the same attributes that we appreciate. The sort of quiet intensity. That's the way I play the game, and usually that's kind of the way I am in life too. So I gravitate towards those guys. Oh man, yeah, I do love Altuve. I mean, he's just exciting. He's fun. He's short, and he plays the game, I think, the right way. It's hard not to like Mike Trout because he has those attributes too, and his swing is just I mean, you could just watch videos of him all day, you know.
Yeah, I wish you could see him like presently, but he's always he's
Right?
never
Yeah.
there.
No, it's true. But I have a wild side too. I love Bryce Harper. Like I love watching the intensity with which he plays the game, the passion, you know. So I relate to that as well. I mean, I definitely would say I like the guys that are more quiet and just do their job, you know. But every once in a while, it's fun to see a guy that's not like, I don't know, not overly like, you know, like some of the Braves guys that are a little bit too much, in my opinion, you know, bat flips and doing all this stuff, like, you know, just plays the game hard. And I think Bryce does that for the most part, you know?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, it's shifted over the last couple of years just because of how he plays. And I play middle infield. He's a defensive guy too, but Nico Horner has become one of my favorite. I don't know if you get much Nico Horner. You probably do.
I don't.
If you don't, I mean, he's just clutch hitting, always up the middle, like not hitting homers, like just line drives. He just won the Gold Glove. So him and Dansby won the Gold Glove. But just the way even that he talks, I was going to pitch a little, you know, interview that he did this week, but I mean, he's just so on it, and he's very honest, very Stanford guy, very smart. He gets kind of the game and understands, you know, everyone's kind of replaceable, and he's just happy to be there. But yeah, if you're a defensive guy, him and Dansby up the middle of that combo. If the Cubs come in town in Pittsburgh, you should go. It's just this season, basically, I was just watching the two of them just do their thing, and it was probably similar to Jack and Freddie. So it was. I don't remember the last pairing that's won up the middle for the Cubs. I don't think ever, but just the two of them together was phenomenal. Probably on any team. I don't remember the last time there's been a dual Gold Glove. But yeah, Nico Horner just all around. Very very quiet though too. He's not Bryce Harper. That's for sure.
Yeah, no. I mean, I generally appreciate that more.
Yeah. I have an acquired taste though for Harper now. Like it's almost like revenge.
I know.
Like, it's just like he gets it now. He's like, I don't really care about home run titles. I'm just trying to win the World Series. But he's also going to be like in your face about it. So
it just seems like he's the type of guy that you want on your team. You know, like it just seems like he really appreciates his teammates and gets them fired up and. I was always a captain on the team, so I like guys that are leaders too. I mean, that's definitely the reason I love Jeter, and so yeah, I think you could say that about him.
But yeah, Jeter is notorious for saying nothing. I think in like 18 years of interviews, they're like he said like one thing, and it was like about the team. That was about it.
Right.
So.
Yep.
Yeah, and all of like we watched a lot of postseason baseball just because it was so exciting this year in particular. When your team's not in it, it becomes in a way less exciting. But there was just too many good players and too many good teams and too much excitement, and we were starting this thing up, so it was just something else to talk about and a way to keep in touch and stay relevant. But like listening to Harper's like post game interviews. Looking at his like wardrobe, like he's wearing a Trey Turner shirt in one of the interviews. Like the guy cares about his teammates. He had this reputation for being a villain, but it's like, man, watch this guy play. Listen to him talk. Like just watch it. Just look at his approach to the game. He comes off as being a certain way, but that's not the way he is. If you're really paying attention, he's not a villain. He's very much a hero for sure. Very cool to watch. I mean. I would put Harper up there for me. My favorite player right now to watch is Mookie Betts.
I almost said that too.
Yeah. We're in addition to being big Cubs fans, we're big Red Sox fans. I became a Red Sox fan in 2002.
Whoa, you went from Yankees to Red Sox?
It was well, like we were talking about before we started recording, it's like, how can you not like this guy? How can you not like that guy? When they started ushering in, like, I think it was really around the time that A-Rod went to the Yankees when I stopped being a Yankees fan.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. And I mean, I like A-Rod. I like him, but it was just a weird thing. It's like they got to this point where it's like they had the home run grown talent and they had the guys that they acquired, but then they just started like spending. And that was like the first time I can remember of a team buying a championship or at least trying to buy a championship. Because they kind of had that was like the end of their run, and they had a drought until 09 after they won in 2000. Really, I mean, they lost to the Diamondbacks, and they didn't win until 09. So, but yeah, Mookie, watched him as a prospect, watch him grow, become into this incredible, multifaceted, Gold Glove, all-star, hard-nosed player. It was one of the worst days of my baseball fandom when the Red Sox let him walk. It was just so sad, and I still root for him. I'm not a huge Dodger fan. Brandon knows that.
No, we don't like
but
the Dodgers.
yeah,
I don't either.
He's the epitome of a five-tool player in a class act, and it's hard for me to root against him even when he's playing on a team that I don't particularly like. But Mookie's definitely one for me.
And he could probably beat you or beat anybody in any sport.
Any sport. Bowling, golf, basketball, football, baseball, all of them.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you got to get some more Pirates games then, man. I mean, or you got to.
I know.
Because
you're a busy guy, but it's important. It's research. It's research.
That's right. Yeah.
R&D.
And the company that I coach for now, actually, it's a local baseball school, but they have a private box, so I can technically get the box almost anytime I want, as long as it's not, so I'm like trying to plan it out for the company, be like, hey, let's get a bunch of guys together and just go down to the game. So
yeah, I was gonna say it's not like it's packed or anything. So
no, that's true.
And honestly, I would say that PNC is probably the most beautiful park I've ever been in. Brandon can probably agree with me on that. We were there in 2016.
Yeah,
2016.
Okay. Unfortunately, it was Pirates Marlins, so it wasn't like the best matchup. But no, it was fun. It was good to be down there. I think we only went to one game, but
yeah,
it was good.
Yeah, I've been in like 6 or 7 major league parks at this point, and it's hard to beat PNC. I don't think it's just because I'm biased though. I think
you're not. We've been to 20, and it's in my top 2.
Yeah. Yep. Well, it's not Pac Bell anymore. Is AT&T in San Fran? Is that up there? Have you been there?
Up there.
Yeah,
it's up there.
Yeah, we were there.
Yeah,
it's a lot colder than people tell you.
It's so cold. So cold.
Ryan's like, why don't we come in the warm time of the year? I'm like, this is the warm time of year. This is August or whatever it was.
It's just that way the entire year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely up there. Well, Brandon, do you have any more questions? I just wanted to get that one out because, again, it's fun to talk about what inspired you, what teams you liked, and what guys you like watching.
No, this has been great. I mean, everything's been awesome. And if you ever make a slow pitch softball bat, the wooden version, let me know because
we do.
You do?
We do actually make softball bats.
I checked the website and there was nothing in the portal.
It didn't have it on there.
Okay.
So we just had it rebuilt this summer.
Okay.
And I think some things still haven't actually gotten added up. But yeah, just give me a call or email me or something. We do make them. I mean, it's it's obviously not our prime market, but we do get either girls that use them in off season, winter, or there's a couple men's slow pitch softball leagues that are wood only. So we supply some of those. Yeah.
But especially because some of these new bats are so hot that they just like ball flies off them. But sometimes you need to focus in and hit that sweet spot. So I was in a funk this summer. I was like, I just can't find it. So
it's fun. I mean, it's just more baseball, Like I do fill in sometimes for a friend of mine that has a slow pitch softball, men's league, and but I haven't come to that point. I'm still trying to play for my my brother's team, which is an adult, league in the area. So I'm gonna try playing baseball as long as I can, but I'm sure I'm gonna get that call eventually.
it's less maintenance. You don't have to worry about fielding too much because you're basically human target practice. Like the ball's coming so fast. So if you can stay on it, cool. If not, don't worry about it. That's why boots come in pairs because you're gonna probably make it boot at least 4 of them. So
there you go.
But, this is awesome. Anything else from you, Ryan? Otherwise, we can wrap.
I don't think so. I again, Joe, this has been such a pleasure. This is our first time meeting face to face.
Right.
It's awesome to get to do this. I'm so happy that you were able to come on and to talk about your awesome company and your passion. And again, we so much appreciate. We'd love to have you on again further down the line, whenever you want. I mean, this is just you're you're a student of the game, and that's what we appreciate. And again, it's just been such a pleasure.
No, you guys are awesome. Like I do follow you both a little bit on socials, and yeah, this is a lot of fun. You seem like I think we're all like kind of on the same page as far as like our passion for the game, and yeah, I would love to do it. This is fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Joe. And again, Boots Come in Pairs. Follow us on what are we on? Spotify, YouTube, all that stuff. Thanks, guys. Take it easy.
Peace.
Yep. All right, guys.